Good morning, South Jersey, and welcome into the locker room with Billy Schweim right here on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's August 15th. It's August.
Dude, it's the dog days of August.
It's the dog days of August.
Thank God. Did it feel cooler to you when you got out of your house this morning?
Oh, my God. The last 3 days, man, it was like stifling. The heat was stifling. I worked in it, so I know what I know what it's all about. We broadcasted live on Friday night from the South Jersey Lifeguard Championships,
which was awesome. Longport again, right?
Longport with its 5th consecutive win. We had Thursday night. You and I went out and had some fun.
What happened on Thursday night?
Where did we go on Thursday night, PT? Well, first of all, let me give you a proper introduction.
Doing the Deauville with you.
Let me give you a proper introduction. Joining me in the studio today, it's the PTP Thompson.
That is correct. Hello, Billy. There's only one me.
That is true. So
your eyes were open a little bit.
Actually, our fun started on Thursday night.
That's
we went
true.
to the Deauville Inn. We hung out. We got to watch the Eagles game with a great crowd at the Deauville Inn. And we ran into our good buddy Brian Green there right at the door as he works as a bouncer.
Thank God.
And things got better from there.
Thank God. I mean, first of all, Brian Green is the man, okay? Secondly, he's not Brian Austin Green. He'll never be confused for the guy from 90210, right?
God, no.
I mean, he just he knew right away, like, these two schmoes look lost. Here, let me go help them out, And then my brother from another mother, Chuck Thompson, came over and said, we got some seats for you right here at the bar, boys. So why don't you belly on up?
Right under the TV so we could see it.
It was perfect. I mean, we were in prime location for JR and Sean, our two mixologists, right? Occasionally.
Mixologists.
Yeah, Barry and Amber would come down and, find their way into our web. But the people, Billy, that had no idea that you and I were about to sit down were poor Tina and Gina.
You abused that, dude.
You
abused that.
Abuse is a strong
word. They were trying to eat their dinner, and you're look, anywhere I go, people say, "Oh man, he talks. He's always like."
Eat is a strong word too.
You make me look like I'm running in slow motion. I can't keep up with you on the. You work in the room, that's for sure.
Your eyes were opened to how the PT could be in public. I just like to have fun.
You sure do.
And
he just likes to have fun.
Abuse is a strong word. I just was entertaining myself, and I believe them in the process. Eating their dinner is a strong word. I think they were drinking their dinner. They played along. They were very encouraging.
You played a game.
We did. I don't even want to give much away about the game because we're going to save that for later on in the season. It was so much fun that I turned to you and said, "Boy, you know what? We got to do this on the radio." So,
and I think we will. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And then the game starts, and we're all excited because football's back. The atmosphere was great, and the Eagles looked good. Now, it's the first preseason game.
Good is a relative term.
That's a relative term, but
they didn't bleep the bed.
That's right. They executed. They didn't make stupid penalties. They looked like they know where they were going, and we were excited about the little things. And after the first touchdown, some guy walks by and says, "Don't get too excited at the preseason."
That's correct. He was throwing salt in the wound.
Like Scotty McKay from yesterday.
Is that what it was?
My God. He
had a big cup of Haterade.
Well, he starts looking at all these stats. That's the first preseason game. You don't look at stats.
Not really. You're just trying to get an organically overall shape of how did they look? Did they look okay or did they look terrible? And I thought they looked okay. And what's interesting to me is, and of course I was busy spending a lot of time working.
I don't think you even watched the first
Tina
five series.
And Gina. What's interesting to me is they really didn't run the ball, and that came out. That's a narrative that came out after the game that Nick Sirianni didn't want to run the ball too much because he doesn't want to give anything away.
Right,
they're still putting those package in.
It was a vanilla offense, okay? They weren't showing anything. Matter of fact, the first half.
They showed one thing, and his name is Quez Watkins, right?
Right.
They showed Quez quite a bit. And in fact, they could have had 2 big touchdowns to Quez. But this, if they thought that he was going to be a secret, the secret's out now. In fact, that's the first thing that Jalen Hurts said when he walked up to the podium after the game.
In the first half, the Steelers only had 40 yards net rushing, and the Eagles had 35. So, I mean, you're right. They didn't run the ball. But my point is, we were just, it's the first game of the season. The Eagles are back. Football's back.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great crowd. We had a lot of fun. And I don't want to hear any negativity.
I mean, it's Negadelphia. It's not Philadelphia, right? I mean, you're going to hear some negative stuff, you know. I mean, look, there's no battle for second versus third string quarterback anymore, is there?
Right. And then we get to halftime and we see Big John Runyon being inducted or not inducted, being he's
going to go into the Eagles Ring of Honor. Yes,
Ring of Honor, the Hall of Fame. And I text John, and he's like, "We got him on the show today."
Yeah, which is outstanding. Him and Trey Thomas. I mean, just think about this, Billy. Those guys from 2000 to 2008, those were like the mainstays of the Eagles offensive line. John Runyan, Trey Thomas, they started a franchise record 134 regular season games together. And during that stretch, they helped lead the team to 7 playoff appearances, 5 division titles, 5 conference championship game appearances, and a berth in Super Bowl 39. So you'd have to say that they are worthy of going in and worthy of going in together. But I love Big John.
But the nicest guy in the world always returns my text. But here's the thing. He played mean, dude. He was mean and nasty. And that's what you need to win. These games are one up front, Pete.
Not only did he play mean and nasty, he always had Drew the toughest assignment. You know, I mean, his battles with Michael Strahan were legendary, or whoever it was throughout the NFC East. Whoever the rush end was, it could have been who was the Cowboys guy?
Charles Haley.
Charles Haley, right? You know, you could have whoever the top guy was, and keep in mind that, you know, to me, and again, I'm big, but I never played offensive line. I always sit there and think, like, God, that's got to be difficult. You're 300 plus pounds,
and you got to move your feet.
You're moving like a battleship, and you have to move quick enough and strong enough for this smaller, faster, quicker, little gnat pest of a guy that can sort of bull rush you and move past you. I mean, to me, that's the most difficult position to play on the football field is the 2 end positions, the 2 tackle positions, or the 2 outside positions on the offensive line. I just think that I just think that's a difficult thing to do.
And of course, the relationship between John Runyon and Michael Strahan has been documented as a love-hate type of thing. But you know what? We're going to play a clip from the Good Morning America and also the induction, Michael Strahan's induction ceremony. And you know what? It really makes me happy to see that these guys have, like, they're total professional, every sense of the word, that they are friends now, and they were combatants, and they went head to head, and it was nasty. It was a tough fight, but Michael Strahan and John Runyon have nothing but respect for each other.
Which is the way you hope it would be. You know, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, if you went and said, "Hey, Joe Theismann, what do you think of Lawrence Taylor?" First, he'd shudder and go, right? But then he'd go, hey, hell of a football player. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I don't know if it's that way in the league now. I mean, I guess it is, but certainly back then there were such battles and such matchups, and I just think there's a respect amongst that level of player where they tip their cap at the end of the day, beat the hell out of each other on the field, and then at the end of the day go, yeah, nice job. You know?
And then hour 2, PT, we got a special guest that we're going to talk to, and I tell you what, I love this guy's voice. And I listened to him on Westwood One. He actually did the Phillies for a stint, and he does the Eagles pregame play-by-play. Scott Graham will be joining us.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Scott come on, and that he's able to join us. So we kind of did a little Wonder Twins, if you remember that from the Super Friends, right? Yeah. You know, I don't remember the 2 names, but either way, you put your fist out and I put mine out. Come on, put it right into the camera here.
By the way, we're streaming live on Facebook,
right.
YouTube, and
so it goes like this: shape of John Runyon, form of Scott Graham. You know, like we came together to get the guest today. And Scott Graham, listen, I know he'll say this if you ask him anything about the Phillies or you ask him anything about Harry Callis. He'll say that he owes a lot of debt and gratitude to HK. And, you know, as macabre as it sounds and as morbid as it sounds, when Harry passed, Scott Graham got a lot of that work,
Yes,
voice of Coors Light and Westwood One Radio, and he works with NFL Films, and he's just a super nice guy, and I'm thrilled to call him a friend and a colleague. And yeah, this is I think now we'll ask him, but I think it's either his 10th or 12th season of doing Eagles preseason games. And part of the thing is his color guy was this guy named Mike Mayock. Remember him? He's the GM of the Raiders now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ross Tucker got elevated, and he hasn't missed a beat. Now Ross Tucker's in there doing his thing, and it's fun. I mean, again, I was a little too busy entertaining Tina and Gina. I don't know what the hell you were doing in your seat.
I was watching a game.
Yeah, were you?
Yes, I was.
Oh, okay.
Intently.
Okay.
That's why I said I was impressed. I watched every bit of the first half.
I watched
while you were playing your game.
Yes, I watched it passively, but
by the way, I won.
Homework.
I won the game.
You did win the game. It's a difficult game to master, but you did win the game ultimately. And we'll talk about it. I think if I remember, if memory serves me correctly, and again, it
took me about 15 tries.
Look, it was a good game. It took about 20 minutes or 25 minutes for an answer to be the correct answer. Excuse me. To be uttered. We'll develop that in a little bit, but I think you said you're going to get some sort of jersey or something like that. You're going to work on that.
We'll work on something.
There will be a suitable prize. We're not going to give away like a free pizza here.
Also,
just
Pete,
like
I must tell you,
this will be something.
I'm going to enlighten you on our golf outing.
Oh, you have some details now.
I've decided what we're going to do.
Okay.
And by the way, Scotty McKay, and we got to get the break, but Scotty McKay was a little surprised that you even asked for a stroke. Why would you even ask for a stroke?
I want a stroke aside.
When you and I are like even Steven.
We are not even Steven.
He thinks it's cowardly that you ask for a stroke.
He can think whatever he wants to think. He's entitled to his opinion. I'm getting a stroke each side, or else I'm not doing it.
I talked to Craig Berube.
Yeah. Oh, what? Mr. First Pitch?
That's right. He's going to ride with me in my cart, and Scotty McKay's going to ride with you in your cart. You and I are going to go head to head.
Well, I'm toast now. Berube's going to be working me like a rented mule, right?
Guess what? Scotty McKay's better.
No. I'm not worried about the talent ability. The best club in Berube's in Chief's bag is his lip wedge. I mean, he's going to have some one-offs that are. I'm going to be standing over the ball, and then I'm going to be dying laughing. I'm not going to be able to hit.
I'll give you the details of how we're going to do this. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be at the end in probably about a couple weeks, 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We'll be at the Great Bay Country Club. I'll work it out with Radio Ron Ralston.
Okay.
But it's going to be a lot of fun. To remind people, the first hour of the locker was powered by Surety Title. Surety provides comprehensive title insurance protection and professional settlement services for home buyers and sellers, real estate agents, brokers, lenders, home builders, developers, and attorneys to facilitate your real estate purchases. Surety is an industry-wide leader with a team of experts to help you through the entire process, from contract signing to closing of the shortest center city and every place in between. Surety Title is there for you. With 15 office locations in New Jersey and PA, that's Surety Title. For more information, call my good friend Ron Conklin at 856-988-8900. All right, when we return, we'll talk a little Eagles football. You're listening to The Locker Room with Billy Schweim on 97.3 ESPN and the mobile app. All right, we're back here in the locker room. Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson, 97.3 ESPN. The Eagles started their preseason. By the way, we'll get into our Phillies talk in the second half of the program. Of course, the Phillies hang on to first place with a nice win over the Cincinnati Reds. We'll get into all that, but we're gonna talk about the Eagles right now because, Pete, it's August 15th, and we got both teams playing. The Eagles starting, Phillies playing well. I'm excited, man.
The fact that the Phillies are still relevant at this point is very exciting for me. I watched that entire game yesterday, and it was a little bit of a knee knocker at times, and I didn't expect Matt Moore to be as good as he was, but you're right. We're thinking Eagles in this hour, Phillies in the second hour, and certainly if you're thinking about the Eagles, you're thinking about how they looked in preseason. Now this, you almost turn the page. Like in a regular season, Billy, I think you almost turn the page. Instead of focusing back on Thursday, then you start talking a little bit about what's coming out of practice,
Right.
Because starting on, what is it? Starting tomorrow, maybe? I think they start these joint practices with the Patriots.
Yes.
So here you have a new coach and Nick Sirianni. There's negotiations. You think Sirianni isn't going to get schooled by Belichick? Well, we want it this way. We want our water break first, or something like that.
Right.
A
power play.
There's some way that Belichick's going to work them.
Well, if you look at the Eagles' starting offense, Travis Fulgham and Quez Watkins were the two starting wide receivers. Are you a little surprised that Rager wasn't given the Sirianni's been pushing his competition thing, and so maybe Quez Watkins and Fulgham won the competition to start in the first preseason game.
One of the things that we talked about, or I talked about on Friday on the Sports Bash, was the fact of how much the tight end was used, and they came out in a lot of two tight end sets. And if you look down the list of receiving, you've got Goddard, Ertz, and Richard Rodgers all in the top 5 of the list of receiving. Watkins, obviously, with his home run ball, he had one catch, 79 yards, but if he had the other one, he would have had 160 yards. You know what I mean? He could have had 2 touchdowns. He was the star, but Goddard caught the only ball thrown to him for 34 yards. That was a big play. Zach Ertz caught 2 of the 3 balls. That to me, more than this competition of, Rager versus Watkins versus any of that, I was more impressed with the amount of use of the tight end and how often they went to it. And you know what? That makes sense. With Jalen Hurts being the young quarterback, tight end is always your safety valve, right? And there's 3 of them
that are
all
made a really
pretty
pass to Goddard on the sidelines. That ball was put in the only place it could have been put. It was a nice pass.
I'm sorry. Did I say 3? And did I completely ignore Tyree Jackson? Wasn't that a story for you as well?
He had 5 targets. He only had 2 catches.
I don't care. He's still 6'7",
and he caught 32 yards average, 16 yards.
This is a guy that a lot of people are talking about in camp as being an impact, and it also, we're one injury away, from another team's tight end going down to somebody then saying, "Yes, Howie, I will meet your price. We do want Zach Ertz on our team," and then he's out of here.
Hey, you alluded to it earlier that the Eagles only ran the ball 11 times, averaged 4.7 yards per carry. You said you weren't really too impressed with that, but I'm not looking at, and I don't want to look at the stats. I said yesterday, I'm not looking at the stats. I just wanted to get the eye test.
Sounds like you're looking.
No, I'm not. But the eye test, Pete.
The eye test didn't show you anything about the running game. What eye test are you learning there?
No, I'm just saying they got everybody involved. They didn't jump off sides. They didn't make dumb penalties. They looked. I thought they were firing all cylinders for the first preseason game.
Their starters beat the Steelers starters.
Exactly.
It was 10-0 after 1. That's pretty much all you want to focus on if you're trying to look at that. If you go down and look at, if you want to dive into it, the Eagles had more penalties, 7 for 60 yards, than the Steelers, but a lot of those penalties are second teamers or third teamers.
That's right.
One of the only penalty, and again, I was busy, entertaining Tina and Gina and having a great time at the Deauville. But
you had Brian Green laughing.
Well, hey, if I got Brian Green laughing, then I'm doing something right. But the only penalty that I remember specifically standing out big time was that Zach McPherson penalty, who's the corner, and he got penalized for PI in the end zone.
Right.
So that one, you can't make that. But hey, it's preseason, and I thought overall they looked okay.
And I thought all right, so let's turn our attention to John Runyon and Trey Thomas get named, that they're going to be going in to the Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame, basically.
Correct.
Eagles Hall of Fame. And John Runyon, just a great player, great person. He was on Good Morning America, I think, last year.
Yeah, this 2 years now because of the pandemic.
Okay,
so
2 years ago.
GMA came to Philly, right? Which
is great.
Which is smart. If you're Good Morning America,
right.
You're going to go to WPVI or have them,
right.
Work with you, right? So they came to Philly, and of course, left to right. If you were watching on the stream, well, I don't know if you can see this, but it's George Stephanopoulos, Robin Roberts, and then Michael Strahan.
Right.
And this ensues. Here we go.
Being out there and seeing everybody in the rain.
They are troopers. I will say that.
Yeah, and they love you, Michael Strahan.
And I love them too.
In Philadelphia. Okay, we got to admit, and you know this, George, the sports rivalry between y'all and New York is something else.
It's real.
And you have a very special relationship with, I think, a player that you all remember. John Runyon, you remember him? Yes. and he has our play of the day.
He does.
Yes, he does.
Hey, you gonna hold me like that all day?
Michael Strahan never letting up when it came to me, John Runyon. Two of the toughest teams in the NFL, my Eagles versus Strahan's Giants, a rivalry spanning generations. But in the end, he admitted the truth.
You were the toughest guy that I've ever had to face on a consistent basis.
And Michael's Hall of Fame speech was definitely one for the books.
Why don't you stand up so they can see you? 6'9", 350 pounds of twisted steel and non-sex appeal. But I love you, John Runyon.
That was something. Please welcome the one and only John Runyon. Big John.
And he brought the Eagles chant with him. That's a big
That's so nice.
Good to see you, man.
Oh my gosh, you are a good sport. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good.
I brought you some kryptonite.
Oh, he doesn't.
He brought me some kryptonite.
Yes, kryptonite. Is it burning in your hands or what?
That's what he always would say.
But yeah, John said he brought me some kryptonite. You brought me that. I knew when I came to Philly. Philly's a special city, special fans. My favorite place to play because they were so into their teams that I figured you're gonna give me kryptonite. I got kryptonite for you too, buddy.
So there it is, Pete. That was hysterical. And
the kryptonite, by the way, that he's speaking of were Eagles jerseys.
Yeah,
in case you
and then, of course,
right.
Strahan gives him a Giants jersey.
Right.
Right.
So it went back and forth. It was a lot of fun.
So when we get back,
we're gonna have
Big John Runyon on the show, and I can't wait. The first hour of the locker was powered by Surety Title. Surety provides comprehensive title insurance protection and professional settlement services for home buyers and sellers, real estate agents, brokers, lenders, home builders, developers, and attorneys to facilitate your real estate purchases. From the shortest center city and every place in between, Surety Title is there for you with 15 office locations in New Jersey and PA. That's Surety Title. For more information, call my good friend Ron Conklin at 856-988-8900. Friends, let me tell you about Maserati, the main line, located just minutes from downtown Philadelphia. They offer a client-focused car buying experience designed to exceed all expectations and invite you to stop and see the area's largest selection of new Maseratis, including the sporty Ghibli midsize sedan and the class-leading Levante, the only SUV worthy of being called a Maserati. Maserati, the main line, also leads the nation in certified pre-owned sales and has the highest quality like new Maseratis available on the market. Your experience is not at the point of a sale, as Maserati, the main line, offers free pickup and delivery for scheduled service appointments and provides a new Maserati loaner car. So be audacious. Call my good friend Michael Pileggi at Maserati, the main line, at 484-804-4800. That's 484-804-4800, or visit them online anytime at motml.com. All right, when we return, we'll talk with John Runyon. You're listening to The Locker Room with Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson on 97.3 ESPN. We're back here in the locker room. Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson, 97.3 ESPN. We're talking Eagles football. And, of course, on Thursday night, John Runyon was introduced with Trey Thomas. They're getting ready to go into the Eagles Hall of Fame. So let's go to the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room Michael Strahan's nemesis, John Runyon. What's up, Big John?
What's going on, guys?
John, first and foremost, we want to congratulate you on your going into the Eagles Hall of Fame Ring of Honor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You had a great career, but one thing I noticed about your career, John, you played nasty, and to be successful in the NFL, especially in these games are won up front. That's how you have to play.
Well, I mean, also it's something, you probably poke fun at me when I say this, but that was something I had in my game that other people didn't. I wasn't the fastest guy. I wasn't the most athletic guy. So that was kind of my, that was kind of my mantra and how I approached it. And I learned that all the way back from, the old days of, Michigan football, growing up around Bo Schembechler. And that's the way that game was played when you played for Bo and when you played for Gary Moeller and Lloyd Carr. Like, all that stuff was coached, having that constant harassment of, defenders across the ball from you. And, you weren't going to get on the field in Ann Arbor if you weren't like that. So it was just something that I grew into, and I made a hell of a career in the NFL out of it also.
We sure love watching you play. And, of course, going to Super Bowl 39 was definitely a highlight of your career.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a couple of, not only the Super Bowl with the Eagles, but I lost that one to the Rams when I played for the Titans. So it was a little disappointing, but it was when, now I've been out over 10 years and kind of look back on it, and it's like, hey, there's not a hell of a lot of people that have played in this league that have actually done that type of stuff. So it's something as you get older, you kind of reminisce and you tell those old man stories. One day I'm sure I'll be sharing those stories with my grandchildren when that day comes.
We're talking with John Runyon, newly inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame. John, one thing that I know that I'd like to get your thoughts on, getting into these personal accolades and, statistics and all that stuff, but hearing it from an arch enemy when you were during your playing days, and Michael Strahan considering you a friend, and looking back on your careers, you guys were going head to head with each other, and after this, after your playing days are over, to have Michael Strahan hold you in such high regard, that must mean more to you than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the respect of your peers, and obviously Michael being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame also, believe it or not, right after that halftime ceremony on Thursday night, Michael sent me an email. I haven't spoken to him since the appearance on Good Morning America. So, but he kind of said the email just kind of, reminisced about some of the things he said, in his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, was just, you made me better. You made me check everything because you're that consistent and that good. So he just reaffirmed it, and and I kind of joked around. I goes, yeah, and I think both of us, after we played each other, we made our masseuses, our chiropractors, and our acupuncturists very wealthy after those battles.
John Runyon's our guest here on the Locker Room. Pete Thompson and Billy Schweim as he joins us on the Barb's Harley-Davidson hotline. And John, you and I saw each other at Jaworski's event, which he does such a great job with over at that Blue Heron Pines. And I didn't even want to interrupt you. You were having such a great conversation with Greg Roman, who's a local guy, went to Holy Spirit. He's the Ravens offensive coordinator. And afterwards, after you guys were done talking, I said to him, like, gee, well, what were you talking about? He says, well, it's not every day you get a chance to talk shop with the guy in charge, right? And then I laughed with you, and I said, hey, man, I said, your career, nobody wanted to face you, right? Because you were just a beast on the field. Then you get off and you go into politics, and that's a no-win proposition. And now you're the vice president of Policy and Rules Administration. What was your answer to me? Do you remember what you told me?
I can't say the word that I normally say on the radio, but it it starts with the word starts with an A, and it's kind of like being someone that doesn't like someone. I always say, no one didn't like me when I played. No one likes an elected official, and no one likes a compliant officer. So
You're like a referee.
The goal is not to stand out, but unfortunately, sometimes you gotta make decisions that are bound by rules and policies that you have to administer, and people don't like it. But at the end of the day, when you step away from it and you're making this game safe and preserving this game for future generations, and it's awesome that I can actually still have my hand in this game doing that type of stuff.
So could you describe then how that job works? I mean, are you in New York every day? Do you, I guess now with Zoom and Google Meet, right? You're like you're not there every day, right? But how does your gig work? I mean, for the layperson that doesn't understand what you're doing.
Well, I mean, really, yeah, I'm in New York a lot. I mean, so I may go into the office over here at NFL Films a little later today and knock out some of the games from yesterday and get a head start on it. But between me and my team, a couple other people will go through every single play over the weekend and kind of filter it out for player safety stuff, sportsmanlike conduct, even stuff that the officiating crews might not have seen on the field. So that's where we're going. And then later in the week, we'll sit down with the officiating department and say, hey, we found these that we think are possible fouls. Like, what do you guys think? And they incorporate that all into their officiating grading too. They usually see them also. They'll send me stuff when they see it in their grading process. So it's just this back and forth collaboration between the two departments. And then usually by the end of the week, we formally send the club, notice, the player notice that, they're being disciplined and what have you. And then there's a whole process that's outlined in the collective bargaining agreement that we have with the Players Association on how this all works and, what the amounts are and all that. I tell people, I goes, sometimes the process of administering discipline is a little bit subjective, but once you determine that there was a foul, it's pretty much written out in black and white in the collective bargaining agreement. So really you're just checking boxes at that point.
We're talking with Jon Runyan, former Eagle, going into the Eagles Hall of Fame. John, you got to be pretty proud of your son playing for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I was watching that one last night, and I didn't, it's tough watching an offensive lineman play with watching a network feed, because you really need the coach's feed to actually watch his feet and his hands, body posture, and all that. So, that if I do get over the office today, I'm sure that's the first game I'm going to review, so I can get my job done and watch my kid play at the same time, because he got a lot of nice reps. He started the game at left guard and ended up playing at center, and I saw there was one big strip sack in the game, and I'm like, I hope that wasn't him. I hope it wasn't him. And they actually put up a replay, and it wasn't him. He had someone else locked up. So I was like,
John, how
big sigh of relief. That's
John,
great.
how cool is that? How cool is that your son's playing in the NFL, walking in your shoes, following your footsteps? I mean, that's got to be really, you guys got to be just so happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's not. I mean, I never really pushed any of my kids to do anything, and obviously, even with my son, specifically in this area, because he is Jon Runyon Jr. too. You kind of got this expectation that people are going to put on you, and it's like, hey, you don't have to play football if you don't want to. And he ended up wanting to play. There's only one sport I ever made any of my kids play, and that was basketball, and they all played pretty much. I think my son played all the way through his freshman year in high school, and my daughters played all the way through high school. They played AAU ball, and my youngest daughter's actually be a sophomore. She plays at Villanova now.
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
So it's just that's the only sport that I wanted them to play. And they all, my son was one of those, the 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids that fell in love with baseball too. So we've done the Cooperstown thing and all that. So he's got a lot of different sports that he's played, but he just happened to, have my passion for football. And it wasn't something I was like, you got to make sure you want to do this, because it, especially this time of year, it's not the it's not all fun and games. It's great, in the fall on Sundays, but this training camp stuff can wear on you a little bit.
No doubt. John Runyon with us here on the Locker Room. And John, looking at your Wikipedia page, I found something. And I think, I know John Runyon. I know his story. I figure, I covered you when I worked for the TV station down here. I used to walk out through that player's lot to our news van that was underneath I-95. And, I always loved the fact that you were just a regular Joe, man. You popped open the back of that truck and had a few beverages and waited for the traffic like everybody else. Let's just hang out and we'll chill. I always loved that, but I did not know, John Runyon, that you are from Flint, Michigan. And it dawns on me, what was the name of that movie? Pets or Meat or something like that? I mean, Jesus, if you're coming from Flint, Michigan, you're not soft.
No, and it's, I think another part of that story is people assume, I was one of those guys that played football my whole life, and I didn't. I was, going back to the last story I was talking, I was a basketball player. And Flint is known for basketball, and it was just something that was my passion. And I got to the point where, I was, 15, 16 years old. I literally stopped growing. I've been this height since then. I've grown, horizontally, just not vertically. It was just one of those things. And, playing basketball, you're talking about going down into in downtown, playing in some of those historic gyms that, are, people like Roy Marble and, Trent Tucker and, Mateen Cleaves and guys like that, ran, on the weekends in those gyms. And that was me. And it was just football was another opportunity to try to get, college paid for because my parents were going to be able to afford it. And, it worked out for me. So it was one of those great things. So, I only had 2 years of football under my belt when I went off to the University of Michigan.
Well, John, listen, man, I'm ecstatic that you returned my text and came on the show today. You're regular.
How could he avoid us?
No, I know, right? But
sorry, buddy.
You're a real regular guy, and we are so happy for you that you're going to be inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame, much deserved. And John, thank you so much for coming on, and good luck the rest of the way.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, John. We promise we'll leave you alone for a while now, buddy.
All right, there he is, John
All right,
Runyon
take care.
on the Barb's Harley Davidson Sports Hotline. It's 6'9", made of steel and non-sex appeal.
Yeah, that's right, man. What a great guy. And I got to tell you, I didn't know that. I mean, you think you know a guy, you've read everything, and I see Flint, Michigan. You remember that movie, don't you?
No, I don't.
They had Roger and Me was the name. Basically, it was all about John Runyon's dad was an employee of General Motors.
Oh, okay.
And the guy Roger Moore did a documentary.
No,
not the Roger Moore from James Bond. Roger Moore, the filmmaker, did a documentary basically about how the car industry was so reliant on the car industry, and that was a dying industry, and these people were struggling. Yeah. And then the follow-up was Pets or Meat. Okay. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyhow, Flint, Michigan's, boy, you come from there, you got a big tip of the cap from me.
Well, like I said, regular guy, great guy, and always gives us access. We love John Runyon.
Very much so. That was awesome.
The first hour of the locker was powered by Surety Title. Surety provides comprehensive title insurance protection and professional settlement services for home buyers, sellers, real estate agents, brokers, lenders, home builders, developers, and attorneys to facilitate your real estate purchases. From the shortest center city and every place in between, Surety Title is there for you. 15 office locations in New Jersey, PA. That's Surety Title. For more information, call our good friend Ron Conklin at 856-988-8900. Just about everybody in our area has heard about the Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine run by ex-Philadelphia tight end Ken Dunnick. But were you aware of their private business network they call the Legacy Club? Every month they hold private events at upscale locations in Philadelphia, South Jersey that attract over 200 top business people. If you have an interest in attending one of these events to see if it's a fit for your business, send an email to ken@jerseymanmagazine.com or give him a call, 856-912-4007 for more information. All right, when we return, we'll wrap up the first hour. You're listening to The Locker Room with Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson, 97.3 ESPN.
I'm like, why isn't this playing? Stupid computer.
All right, Pete. I'm gonna do.
Wait a minute. It took them so long to get started. You might as well give them a couple seconds here.
I'm gonna give you the parameters of our golf tournament. You ready for it?
Oh man, hang on.
I'm gonna give the listening public.
These are the parameters of the golf tournament, or the rules?
Here's not the rules. Here's how we're gonna do it. People, I want to get people involved.
By the way, note to self: do not ever turn off the computer. Okay, go ahead.
I want to get people involved. I want people to pick a team, pick somebody that they think is going to want either you or I, right?
Okay. So it's Team Thompson, Team Schweim.
Team Thompson, Team Schweim.
And then my caddy is Scotty McKay.
And my caddy will be Craig Baruch.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sure he's going to love being called your caddy.
All right. You and I stink.
Chief, go pick up that bag.
You and I stink.
you, Billy.
Oh, yeah. You and I stink, and those guys hit in the 70s.
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct.
Here's what we're going to do.
All right.
People are going to be able to start texting in at 609-403-0973 who they think is going to win.
All right.
All right, between me and you. Because Scotty McKay and Chief, they'll go separately, but maybe we'll combine our score.
Oh, why would we do that?
Well, it's just
to give them some interest.
Well, no, it's head-to-head for you.
Right. There'll be two games going on. You can have multiple games going on.
Multiple games going, but people will text in 609-403 who's going to win the golf tournament.
All right.
Me, all you got to do is put Pete Thompson, Billy Schweim.
Okay.
And then you're going to put your address.
Right.
And whoever wins,
now that's
key. I will send shirts, 97.3 ESPN locker room shirts to the winning team, whoever picks the winning side.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
All right. Very
Is that good?
Sure. I mean, I think, for all that work, they'd like something more than a T-shirt, but,
that's what I have
to develop it. Why don't you give them $100?
If I had $100, I'd give it to them.
I just like giving you the needle.
That's something.
Sure.
All they're going to do is put who they think's going to win.
For
they get
one
a free
simple
T-shirt.
text. Yeah, and it's a nice T-shirt. In fact, hang on here.
Hold it up. Show it to the folks. I got white. I have white and gray in all sizes.
This is the white version here.
If you're looking at on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can check it out. The locker room.
Yeah.
I sold them on the beach, but I have a lot left over, so I figured why not.
I like that.
All right.
Sponsors are on the back.
So whoever takes
and
Pete
then
Thompson,
the gray side here. Let me get the gray side.
Check it out.
Here.
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. All right. A gray T-shirt with 97.3 ESPN radio on the front and the locker room on the back.
Oh, I just noticed this. I think you did tell me this, but I wasn't listening to you as
and
usual.
It has
There's a nice little Eagles, the old classic Eagles bird. There we go. I tilted it correctly on the sleeve.
On both the white and the gray.
Nice.
All right. So
you got big man sizes because these will fit me.
Yes, I got your
size.
Did you get
more for like the potential winner? Like what if somebody else, what if John Runyon won the shirt? Would you be able to get a shirt?
Well, I think he can wear your size.
You think so?
Absolutely. I got a couple more.
Okay.
All right. So 609-403-0973. The next 2 weeks we'll start compiling the list. And of course you have to put your address because whoever wins, I will be mailing the shirts out to.
Yes.
But 609-403-0973. Now, the only thing is,
by the way, since you're bringing up the text message board,
absolutely,
we do want to thank Dan from EHT, who said the best thing about Trey Thomas and John Runyon was that they were injury-free for the most part. Reliability is something the Stars and Phillies sports has been a big problem in recent years, and he's right. Especially with the guy. We didn't even talk about this in an hour of Eagles talk. We didn't talk about the fact that Jason Peters, see you later.
Right.
Alligator. Thanks.
Chicago Bears.
Yeah. And you know what? I texted my buddy who's a Bears fan.
What?
Yeah. Wait till he breaks down.
Oh, and he's going to break
He's absolutely going to.
He's going to break down.
There's no doubt. Oh, Dan did put another one in there about the what ifs of Super Bowl 39. If McNabb wasn't drunk and T.O. was healthy, Runyon would have a ring.
You know what?
Attaboy. I don't know if he was drunk, but he was definitely dry heaving.
You know who I've always wanted to get on my show, and maybe Pete, since you're the
who, McNabb?
No. The center,
Hank Fraley, Sticky Buns.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have to track him down.
Track him down.
Sure, just call me Columbo.
Now the only sticking point we have here with this golf tournament is you want to stroke.
No, I want to stroke a side.
No, you just get one stroke. I'm not giving you two strokes.
True. Of course you are.
Why would you even ask for
every score that you have told me about so far this summer?
I'm at 101, 102,
which is 10 to 12 strokes better than me. If that's the case.
Yeah, but I'm also known to blow up, too.
You mean from eating?
No, from shooting, from not having a good day on the course. I mean, it happens to me, but I don't know because I've only been out 5 times all year where you've been out like 15.
Not enough. I'm telling you, that's the negotiation. Give me a stroke aside on the hardest hole on each 9, and I'll accept.
Not happy about it.
Just cough it up.
All right, hour 1 is in the books. The fastest 2 hours in radio, Pete. This Sunday goes flying by.
It sure does. We have a good time, and now we get to talk a little Phillies baseball in the second hour.
Hour 2, Phillies baseball, but we'll be joined by Scott Graham. I look forward to talking to Scott Graham. He did the Phillies play-by-play for a little time. He does the Eagles preseason play-by-play. Scott Graham coming up next. It's the Locker Room with Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson. Sunday mornings from 10 a.m. to noon right here on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN. Stay tuned. We have a lot more of the Locker Room in store for you. We're back here in the locker room with Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson, Sunday morning, August 15th, right here in the locker room of 97.3 ESPN, the PT in the house. And
Pete, I'm overproducing today.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're on a roll today, Pete.
All right. So full disclosure, I make mistakes as well.
No.
I had written down on my sheet Scott Graham 11 o'clock.
Would you even text me that?
Yeah, but I booked him for 11:30. Whoops. So I call the number and he answers, and it sounds like there's a flurry of activity going on behind him. And he says, "Hey, Pete, I thought we said 11:30." And I said, "Oh, you're right. We did say 11:30.
We're so excited to have him on. You jumped the gun.
Right, by a half hour.
Listen.
And then I said to him, "Would you like me to call you on your house phone instead?" Because I remember one time, like, he had no cell service or something like that. And he says, "Well, I don't have a house phone anymore, but I'll explain that when I talk to you in a half hour." So there you go. There's a tease. We're going to get a story.
All right, Pete, there's two times a year, two special times a year, the months of August, September, October, or April, or March, April, and May.
Okay.
What do we?
You want to know which one I prefer?
Yeah, which one do you prefer? Because these are important times in the world.
You're like asking me to choose between my two favorite children, because April, May, June is
March, April, May.
Okay, so March, April, May, the Masters is in there, and I love the Masters.
Right,
okay,
Masters.
But
you got the college basketball tournament.
Yeah, March Madness.
Opening day baseball.
Okay, Hope Springs Eternal,
there
right? That'll be the big three on that side. But man, that other block. That
August,
has like
September and October.
That has baseball pennant races, right? That has NFL football preseason, and then NFL football, which is king.
Right.
College football. You know, I wore my
the fresh smell, the smell of fresh cut grass, the morning dew. There's nothing like it. The warm days in cold nights, chilly nights.
Sounds like you're talking about like a Billy Joel song, Hot Nights, Cold Beer, or something like that. Cold beer, hot lights, my sweet romantic teenage night.
No, so you got to pick one.
I'm gonna pick the one with the fall that has the fall included. I think you have to. I'm sorry.
I concur.
I like them both.
Nothing like to hear the ball and the bat hit for the first time, right?
Sure,
and
keep in mind that, for many, many years when the Eagles don't make the Super Bowl, then, you're sitting there as soon as the Super Bowl's played and you're still ticked off they didn't make it, then you're like, okay, pitchers and catchers report in 2 weeks or something like that, or pitchers and catchers are usually always right around Valentine's Day. So, I know you're supposed to associate Valentine's Day with your girl. I associate Valentine's Day with Clearwater. Let's go.
All right. And what makes it even better this time of year is when your Philadelphia Phillies are in a little bit of a pennant race.
And they are. Yep. Things looking good.
Right now, the Phillies sit at 61-56, tied for first place with the Atlanta Braves. All right.
Yep.
In a battle, they pitched really well. Now, how about Matt Moore last night and Hector Neris combined for 7 innings of no-hit baseball?
Matt Moore was really the story, too. I mean, this is a guy that had basically been taken out of the rotation, right? He was abysmal. Joe Girardi had no choice, but they didn't have a starter. They kept if you looked ahead in the notes, they kept, and I forward you all the notes, right? Yes, I send them to you all the time. They kept saying TBA, TBA, TBA. And then they finally decided to go with Matt Moore because, quite frankly, they didn't have another arm to go with, and Matt Moore, it was an unpopular decision yesterday. I don't know how you felt, but it was an unpopular decision when Joe Girardi lifted him after 76 pitches, and it wasn't just that he lifted him; he let him bat. So then everybody in the stadium thought, oh, he let him bat, so he's going to keep him in.
Well, maybe because he knew he wanted to bunt in a close game.
Right.
And he didn't want to use a
position player to bunt, and he didn't have a lot of position players to begin with.
Right. He probably felt Matt Moore could get the bunt, get the job done, and he did.
Yeah.
He moved the runner. He moved the runner, but then to come back and take him out, I think I would put him in for at least 1 or 2 batters to see how he was doing.
Now, what's funny is I didn't even think about the no-hitter because, it was Greg Murphy, first of all. Tom McCarthy was on assignment. If anybody was wondering why T-Mac wasn't on, he had NFL preseason to call, just like our guest at the bottom of the hour, Scott Graham. He had NFL preseason to call, so Tom McCarthy was not there. It was Greg Murphy, both for Friday and Saturday. Now, today, I believe T-Mac will be back in the booth. As will probably Mike Schmidt, right? Don't they do Sundays with Schmidt? So
with the Phillies, here's a stat that, of course, you send me the stats and I love it.
Thank you.
But this stat sticks out for me because it's all about pitching, Pete.
Yeah.
But the Phillies starting pitchers have posted a 1.38 ERA with 43 strikeouts, holding opponents to a 117 batting average. And over the last 8 games,
and a 389 OPS is the rest of that. Yes.
All right.
So that's and coincidentally over the last
it's
8
all
games,
about
they've
pitching,
been on a
Pete.
streak. Yeah, good pitching beats good hitting all the time. Matt Moore had the no hitter going, but they pulled him. He went 6. Hector Neris went 1. That's 7 innings. Now the Archie Bradley home run again. I was just pissed that Archie Bradley gave up the home run. Only as the ball was going over the wall and Murphy was saying, and there goes the no hitter. Did I think? Oh yeah, they were throwing it. Like it just didn't even lock into me. I was more, I guess, I'm poisoned. I guess I'm more offensive driven these days than I am like, oh, I'm watching a gem. But it is funny too. I don't know about you, but I see a lot on social media people that are, they get mad. Like, I got my one buddy Paul Schrager that is a radio producer, Billy, and he went to Temple with me. He was a little bit ahead of me, but he worked at WRTI and stuff. He board ops for the Phillies, the Mets, the Nationals, like all these major league radio teams. He's the engineer, where they talk about the engineer in the booth is Paul Schrager, right? Yeah. So Paul often will put up on Facebook, I am at such and such a game. This will be another no-hitter or another time that I haven't seen a no-hitter. Like all his life, Paul's around the baseball and he's never seen one. So I saw one at Citizens Bank Park. It was Josh Beckett, right? So I answered back to somebody about like, have you ever seen one or what have you, and I said, I saw the Josh Beckett one at CBP. I was in the stands, right? But, our boy Gil, even though he's up there with his baseball team in Jamestown, New York, he sees that on social media. He fires back, well, I was at Roy Halladay's in the playoffs. Thanks, man. Like, way to just punch me in the gut. You think it doesn't still make me mad to this day that I wasn't there? We absolutely would have been there and we would have been covering it. Now, can you realize or think, why was I not at Roy Halladay's no-hitter in the playoffs?
Why weren't you there, Pete?
It was a Friday in the fall. What takes place on Friday nights in the fall?
High school football.
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had to be at the high school football game. How did I know that Roy Halladay was going to pitch? Now,
speaking of Roy Halladay, yesterday we had Charlie Manuel on the program.
Yeah, how was it?
And I'm telling you, Charlie was great. But you know what? I said, Charlie, remember when he first came to Philadelphia, the media gave him a hard time. People were very critical of bringing him in. Now the guy can walk on water.
He's universally beloved.
Beloved,
and you're right. The fan base wanted Jim Leland. They wanted the former Pirates skipper and the former Marlins skipper and the guy that wasn't afraid to burn a heater in the dugout, right? That's who they wanted, Because no disrespect to Charlie, but Jim Leland, he looks like Lou from Major League, right? Hang on, I got a guy looking for a deal on White Walls.
But what Charlie said was very poignant. He talked about the Philadelphia Phillies fans and how great they are. And he just says, he said he's been around Major League Baseball his whole life. He said that the Philadelphia Phillies fans and Philly fans in general are the greatest. And it came from his heart yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Pete, he wasn't just saying it because he's on the radio show.
Yep. No,
he believes it.
And I agree with that. I mean, look, the Philly fans get a bad rap for the booing Santa Claus and throwing the snowballs and being drunken idiots and all that. And sure, I think Philly fans are that at times. But there is no fan base that I've found to be more passionate, involved, up to date on who each player is. When a guy comes in, oh yeah, I remember him, and they hold the players accountable. I understand that there are passionate fan bases in New York, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, in St. Louis. There's a reason they call St. Louis baseball heaven. But did the same fan base in St. Louis, for example, were they able to sustain the Rams? No. Now, the Blues maybe, but, is there a St. Louis NBA team?
No.
Okay, that's what
By
I'm
the way,
talking about.
I go back and forth with Craig Berube on this all the time.
Why? What does he say? He says the Blues fans are the best fans ever?
He's crushing Philly fans. But I know deep down inside, he knows. He knows I know.
Right.
He says that's tongue in cheek.
Right.
Just to get a razz out of me.
Yeah, and it works every time.
Well, it works. But I know but I know him well enough that deep down inside he's just saying it.
Are you ready to turn the corner on Hector Neris, by the way, and accept him as being good again?
By the way, in the
role that he's in,
he's doing fine.
And Ricky Pitalico talks about this all the time. The successful bullpens are the bullpens where you get in a rhythm, you get in a role. I mean, look at the most famous bullpen the Phillies had. The bridge to Lidge worked because everybody understood what their role was, and it was to get to Lidge and get that save.
And of course, in your notes, Hector Neris extended his scoreless streak to 12.2 innings.
Yeah, I mean,
he's his pitches are. I mean, he's got command of his pitches now.
And he's not in that high stress situation of having to close the ball game. You know, he knows, look, he's going to get an inning, maybe two. You know, the only thing I was disappointed with was in the Heat game, which was the Thursday day game.
Right. Which I listened to while I was sitting on the beach.
Right. He only could go one inning. He had to tap out. It was too hot and humid for Hector Neris.
Just tied Ryan Madson with 486 strikeouts, second place on the all-time strikeout list for relief pitchers.
Yeah, but say who's leading it. I never would have guessed this guy.
Who is leading it? Ron Reed.
Ron Reed. Not Radio Ron Ralston, thank you. Ron Reed is in first place with 519 relief pitcher strikeouts.
That's good, Pete.
By the way,
Radio Ron.
the guy they call Roto or whatever, Ronald Torreyes, this guy's, to me, been the MVP, you know, the diamond in the rough. Like, I understand the MVP signing, if you will, the MVP unexpected hero, right? I mean, all the guy does is come in and play good baseball.
Right now, even McCutcheon, I mean, he comes back and nails his 21st home run last night and put the final nail in the coffin. When Rhys Hoskins comes back, Pete, and they can sustain a little bit of a drive and separate themselves, you know, especially with the pitching. It's all about pitching, but you get Rhys Hoskins back. JT Realmuto starting to hit the ball.
You want to know the Phillies lineup that just came out 7 minutes ago?
Please do.
All right. Batting first and leading off and playing, let's see here, that would be second base, Gene Segura. Batting second, your catcher, JT Realmuto. Batting third and playing right field, Bryce Harper. In the cleanup spot at short, Didi Gregorius. Batting fifth and in left field, your fella, Andrew McCutcheon.
Yeah.
Batting, what am I? And now, see, I forgot the number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Can't you put your glasses
Sixth,
on?
be quiet. It's not that I can't read it. It's that I'm like used to a script. Sixth is, and playing first base, Bamboo Brad Miller. Seventh, and at the hot corner, again, Alec Boehm not in there again. Okay, fine with it. Ronald Torreyes, the aforementioned.
Why not?
Batting eighth and playing center field, Odubel Herrera. This is where you work in the stat that you're dying to work in. The Phillies are 12-0 when Odubel Herrera scores a run at Citizens Bank Park this season. So let's hope that Odubel Herrera scores a run today. And then ninth and pitching, Aaron Nola. Which Aaron Nola are we going to get this time?
Well, you know what I said yesterday? Aaron Nola is notoriously famous for coming out, pitching well in the beginning of the season. He gets to September, and he's like his record's under 500, and he's got a ERA north of 4. Maybe he's doing it in reverse this year. Maybe he comes out slow and average, and then by September he turns it on.
Well, anytime he wants to turn it on, I'm okay with it. You know, he had the one start. What was that, two starts ago?
Last start. He only went 4 innings, got cut short by rain.
No, I was talking about the dominant start that he had.
That was 2 starts ago.
2 starts ago. You know, that's what I want to start seeing out of Aaron Nola.
All right.
Not sure what his issue's been.
The second hour of the locker room was powered by the Great Bay Country Club, where it's not just golf, it's fun. Make Great Bay Country Club your club. Great Bay is an award-winning private golf club where you are greeted by name. It's home of the 3-hour and 58-minute round. You can play it on their 18-hole championship golf course, enjoy fine dining, experience lively atmosphere in the pub. There's a full calendar of golf and social events throughout the season to appeal to everyone. For more information, go to greatbay.com or give them a call at 609-927-5071. Great Bay Country Club in Summers Point, New Jersey. See why it's always a great day at Great Bay. When you get down there, say hello to Radio Ron Ralston, Timmy Stover's down there. I mean, it's just a great place to play golf.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, when we get back, we'll talk more Phillies baseball. You're listening to The Locker Room with Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson, 97.3 ESPN. All right, we're back here in the locker room. Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson, ESPN, the Locker Room Show, Sunday morning edition. Of course, we're always having fun. Hey, Pete, Roy Halladay got his number retired.
Yep.
In a ceremony last week.
It was wonderful. Raul Ibanez spoke on his behalf.
Yeah, we talked to Charlie Manuel about the relationship that they had. It was very special, but the chemistry on that team was even more special, the whole lineup. he talked about that. But I want to look at Roy Halladay spent 4 seasons with the Phillies. He went 55-29 with a 3.25 ERA and 103 starts. Of course, he authored that perfect game in the postseason and no hitter, won the Cy Young Award. Well deserved.
Very much so. And look, I think the saddest thing that I've seen as a Phillies fan in a long time was when Roy Halladay started to break down. Like when Roy Halladay couldn't be Roy Halladay anymore. It was almost like your eyes were deceiving you, like, well, it looks like him. I don't understand what's going wrong, I mean, but, what's the opponent that's undefeated, Billy? Father Time, right? Father Time. I mean, you can't beat Father Time. And ultimately that caught up to him too. To me, the Roy Halladay story is fascinating also because the guy basically almost washed out of the Blue Jays organization. I mean, he was at the lowest rung of the bottom of the baseball ladder that you could be. He had just imploded on himself, and he found that book, that Harvey Dorfman book on pitching and the art of pitching, and his whole career changed. His whole career track changed, and we're all better for it.
And how about, speaking about pitching, last night, Tyler Gilbert for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, now tell me that you knew who this guy was.
I had no idea. But
not only did I have no idea who it was, but, you get alerts on your phone. So my honey baby and I are watching NCIS, right? That's our go-to move. We're watching that on Netflix.
I'm a law alert.
Okay, so we're watching NCIS, and I get the alert on my phone that this guy might throw a no-hitter. And, the funny thing was, at first I thought he was with the Padres and then I looked at the score again. I go, oh, well, no, wait a second. The Diamondbacks are killing the Padres. Who the hell is this guy, right? So I started looking him up. Tyler Gilbert, you know what team drafted him?
The Phillies.
That is correct. Drafted by the Phillies in the 6th round of the 2015 amateur draft. Okay.
That's amazing.
Here's a guy. Okay. So in his very first start in the big leagues last night, he strikes out 5 hitters, walks 3, throws 102 pitches. And, comes in and throws a no-hitter. And, that's notable for several reasons. Now we've got a record for no-hitters this season, right? And
he's the 4th pitcher ever to pitch a no-hitter in his first start.
That is correct. Bobo Holman of the St. Louis Browns, the last to do so in 1953.
Wow.
The funny thing is the instinctual reaction or your reaction or mine would be, oh, well, the Phillies must have given up on this guy. No, the Phillies traded him to the Dodgers in February of 2020 for Kyle Garlick. All right.
Right.
Garlick basically was a 4th outfielder and then DFA'd. Okay. And then he was claimed by the Braves or DFA'd by the Braves and claimed by the Twins. So he's nothing. And then Gilbert, he was Rule 5. All right. Do you remember the Phillies that were Rule 5? The famous Phillies that went on to become staples of the team that both came in the Rule 5 draft.
I cannot remember.
Ready, go. 2008. Who were the 2 Phillies players on the 2008 World Series team that came to the Phillies via via Rule 5 draft? Give me one of them.
Shane Victorino.
That is correct. I knew you could get one. Now give me the other one. Also from the
Jason Worth.
Yes, also from the Dodgers. Remember, he'd had a wrist injury.
Right, that's right.
So the Rule 5 draft, you remember how it works, right?
Right.
The Rule 5 draft is where you grab somebody, but you have to keep them on your big league roster the entire season.
Right.
So if you're taking somebody else's like fringe player or what could be perceived as somebody else's trash,
right,
and you're trying to turn it into treasure, you have to hope that the guy you're taking a risk because you got to leave him on your roster the whole time. But it's pretty cool. Gilbert's family was there last night. The catcher,
and he no hits the Padres. That's no easy feat.
That is correct. You want to know who the catcher was last night?
I have no idea.
Dalton Varsho, who is the son of the former Phillies player, coach, and interim manager Gary Varsho. And who do you think Dalton is named after?
Darren.
That is correct.
By the way, Friday night after our call of the South Jersey Lifeguard Championships, we ran into one Tommy Green at the Greenhouse.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, good for him.
Speaking of no-hitters,
well,
Tommy pitched one against the Montreal Expos.
He did. Tommy Green's a great guy. He's probably out celebrating his wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Wendy,
he and his
darling.
wife were both at the Greenhouse.
I've said this to you before. He's married to a character from Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Wendy, darling. Yeah.
All right. Second hour of the locker room was brought to you by the Great Bay Country Club, where it's not just golf, it's fun. Make Great Bay Country Club your club. Great Bay is an award-winning private golf club where you are graded by name. It's home of the 3-hour and 58-minute round. You can play on their 18-hole championship golf course, enjoy fine dining, experience lively atmosphere in the pub. For more information to become a member, or even they're looking for servers in the dining room, go to greatbay.com or give them a call at 609-927-5071. Great Bay Country Club in Somers Point, New Jersey. See why it's always a great day at Great Bay. When you get down there, say hello to Ron Ralston. And by the way, Pete, 609-403-0973 is the text board. Who will win our golf tournament? Pete Thompson or Billy Schweim? Keep them coming in. Whoever picks the winner gets a locker room shirt.
Yes, very good. We've got one submission so far. Keep them coming. And 609-403-0973. You're basically voting Team Thompson or Team Schweim, Team PT or Team Billy, however you want to type that, and your address, because we want to know where to send the shirt to if you are the lucky winner, or maybe multiple shirts. We'll see how many Billy's going to give away.
When we return, we'll talk with Scott Graham. You're listening to The Locker Room with Pete Thompson, Billy Schweim, 97.3 ESPN. We're back here in the locker room with Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson, 97.3 ESPN. I'll tell you what, Pete, man, you know what? Our next guest, I love his pipes. I love his voice. And he's got the call. He's got it down.
The Lord has gifted him with the voice, you know, and let there be voice.
Okay, you can hear him on the Eagles pregame show. He does Westwood One, NFL Films. Let's go to the Barb's Harley Davidson Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room, Scott Graham. Good morning, Scott. Hello, Scott.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing today, Scott?
I'm doing great.
Scott, we brought you up. We said your Eagles pregame show, Westwood One, NFL Films. I have always enjoyed listening to your voice on over the radio or airwaves. You got the pipes.
Hey, nice to say, and yeah, it's just one of those things. It's what I love to do, and you know, so the enthusiasm comes out too when I'm doing it because you guys are doing the exact same thing. Anybody who sits behind a microphone generally loves what they're doing.
Yeah, they say if you love what you do, you never work a hard day in your life.
It's true.
But in radio and doing what you do, there's so much preparation involved with what you do. Tell people, I mean, when you call the Eagles games, talk us through the amount of preparation that you go through.
Well, the biggest thing with the preseason games is the size of the roster, because if you're doing a regular NFL game during the season, you kind of know everybody who's on the roster. When you get into a preseason game, you're talking 90 aside, and you're trying to, because I'm working for the Eagles and it's an Eagles broadcast, I'm trying to learn as much as I can about everybody who's on the roster. But then you just flip it around, and it was the Steelers the other night. It's the Patriots. I basically know the Steelers and the Patriots from watching them during the season, but the extra 45 guys I generally have no idea about. So you try to, you try to learn what you can. You pick up a nugget here or there. You learn a little bit more about them. And our broadcasts are more focused on the Eagles side of things anyway. But that's not how I was taught to do it. So the preseason games take a lot of time, a lot of prep. And I tell this to classes that I teach. You put together all the prep, and you probably use about 25 to 30% of it if it's a good game. You use 60% of it if it's not a good game. So it's basically that's how it's laid out. You have the things that are there to get you through the broadcast, regardless of which way. But you got to learn about it, and you got to make yourself familiar with it.
Here in the locker room over the last year, I've had the honor of talking with a couple greats that have retired. Mike Emmerich and Dick Stockton have been on the program, and they said exactly what you said just right there. I mean, you have to really prepare. 30% you use, the rest you don't, unless it's a slow game. But, all the greats, you included, all say the same thing.
You learn it over time. And in the beginning, when you're young, you try to figure out what's the best way to do this. And you kind of reinvent the wheel a whole bunch of times before you figure out what works best for you. And, that was the beauty part of it, because I got a chance to work around a lot of great broadcasters. I got to pick up a little bit of what Harry Callis did. I got to pick up a little bit of what Andy Musser did. I got to pick up a little bit of what Kevin Harlan does. I get to see those people do their work, and it's like, I can use a little bit of that method, and then you kind of cobble it together and it becomes your method.
Scott Graham's with us on the Barb's Harley Davidson hotline here on the locker room with Pete Thompson and Billy Schweim. Scott, you're a pal of mine. I've seen you out and about. We play golf in the Hero Campaign tournament together at times. And when I look through your resume, I was trying to tell Billy in the break, like, well, make sure you mention this. Make sure you mention this. Make sure you mention this. I mean, there's NFL Films, Westwood One, FS1, CBS Sportsnet, Eagles preseason. There's a lot of lines on that resume, buddy.
Well, and there kind of have to be when you put 3 kids through college. That's pretty much how that works. So, when I realized that we had 3 kids that were going to be going to college, and we had, it was all right. So let's see, I'm not doing anything these weeks. I wonder if I can get a job doing something else. But you know what? That's a facetious way of putting it. I like doing all those things. I like the varied nature of what I do. I like the fact that there's There's a football season. There's a college basketball season. There's times when I can put on my production hat and produce the Villanova show for Jay Wright. And I mean, I like the way it changes it up. I think, there are some people that are built for the ability to do the same thing all the time and master it and be in exactly that spot. I don't know if it's my attention span or what, but I like having varied things thrown at me at different times of the year. It keeps it fresh, and it keeps me learning something in each of those disciplines in whatever it is.
You mentioned the Villanova show, and boy, Villanova basketball is certainly blown up in the last 8 to 10 years, right, on the national scale. We had John Runyon on in the first hour of the program, Scott, and Billy was asking him about his kid and the pride that he had with his son being able to play in the NFL now that John Runyon had played in the NFL. Am I mistaken, or did I remember seeing a picture of you and your son at the same, what was it, the championship game or the Final Four, and you were both media working?
Yeah, you're mixing two stories together, but yeah, my oldest son went to Villanova, and he was a senior in 2016, and he and his lunatic friends drove to Houston because they won tickets in the lottery, and he said, I'm never going to get tickets, and he and his friends had driven to Louisville for the Elite Eight, and then he calls me and he says, I'm never going to get tickets for the Final Four, so I'm not worried about it. He calls me on the Monday and says, we won the drawing. We're driving to Houston. Do you mind if I sleep in your room? No, it's fine. It's fine. So, I had him. I had a couple of his friends using my shower. But yeah, I mean, he got to be there in that and I was so lucky to be able to work for Turner for the team cast, right. And I got a chance to call Chris Jenkins' game winner. But my son was there in his senior year for both of those things, and his younger brother, who went to Michigan, had no interest in working in broadcasting, but he did it kind of as a fun side thing. And it just so happened that I got a Michigan game, and he was on the rotation, and we were sitting at the table next to one another at the Michigan game broadcasting. And the guys I was working with from Westwood said, I'm not sure how good your call was because you seemed to be looking over at Brett more than you were looking at the court. And you know what? That could very well have been true because, I don't know how much prouder you can get at that point.
We're talking with Scott Graham. Of course, you can hear Scott. He does the Eagles broadcast, preseason broadcast. You can hear him on Westwood One, NFL Films. Scott, what do you enjoy doing the most? Because I remember my first recollection of you is with the Phillies. I really enjoyed your call at the Phillies game. I was kind of sad that you didn't stick around with them on a more regular basis. But what do you enjoy doing the most, football or baseball?
It's funny because when I started doing baseball, I didn't know how to do baseball. I was not one of the guys who goes about it the normal way, which is you get a minor league job, you work, you hone your craft. I had been a pre and post game guy, and I got an opportunity to be in the booth. And, my first baseball game I ever called was a major league game. So I had been used to doing years of up and down the court basketball and the pace of football, and baseball. The pace took me some time. It really did. And as time went on, I thought that I got better at it. I don't think it was a finished product when it ended. And I think I still had a fair amount of room to grow, but I loved the game of baseball. I don't know that I loved the game of baseball as it currently is structured as much as it was when I was a kid. It's not the same game. It's not the same approach anymore. I used to love the small ball aspect of it. I'm an anti-DH guy. I'm super old school with regard to that stuff. I love football, and I've always told everybody who's asked me the question, even back when I was doing all three, I wouldn't want to give up any of them.
Right.
I really wouldn't, because each of them has something that's different. There's something about a football game when it comes down to the closing minutes, and it's a regular season game. You're playing for the playoffs, that drama level. But if you ask me to list the things that are most excited about or proudest of or will remember most one day when I retire, it's got to be Jenkins' shot.
Yeah.
So it's a hard question for me to answer.
No, Scott. How about when you do NFL Films, and do you ever listen to yourself and like what's your reaction? Some people can't listen to. Obviously, you want to critique yourself to make yourself better, like football players when they watch film. But when you hear your when you hear yourself do NFL films, a highlight, how do you feel about that?
Well, when I auditioned for the job back in 2003, they called me, and Steve Sable had asked to get me among the people who auditioned for Game of the Week because they were bringing it back. And I went and I did the audition, and I said, can you send me a copy of it, regardless of whether I get the job or not? And they still hadn't made a decision, and I got a VHS tape in the mail, and I popped it in, and I started laughing because it sounded like I had gone to NFL Films fantasy camp, and I'm seeing all the pictures and the music and everything else that I'd known my entire life, and then there was me, and it just sounded ridiculous to me. And then over time, Steve taught me a lot. Steve taught me a lot about, my voice was never going to be Facenda's voice. My voice was never going to be Harry's voice. My voice was, what it was, and he taught me about phrasing. He taught me about pacing. And he made me so much better. The way we started, the first time that he ever worked with me, I went home and listened to that finished product on Game of the Week, and I walked out of the room 3 minutes in because I thought it was awful. And it was part of the process. It was part of the process of getting me to where he wanted to get me to. And he did. And, it's the job that I still get a tingle when I walk into the building. It's a job that I still am in awe of whenever I get a chance to do work for them. And those guys and women are so talented and so dedicated to what they do. They're the best there is. And just to even be associated in a small way it's an honor.
Scott Graham's with us. I'm so glad you brought that up because you had retweeted out the Paul Domowitch story about Steve Sable, and your tweet said, a beautiful story which brought a happy tear to my eye. Grateful to have known and worked with Steve. I owe my entire voice work career to him. I'll be wearing my SDS lapel pin with pride in Canton next week. And of course, well-deserved that he's in there, overdue, if you will, and don't park in his parking spot. Right, Scott?
Right, exactly. And there's remnants, and unfortunately, I hadn't been in that building now. It's almost a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
After I did the Super Bowl highlight film and a couple of other things last March, the building shut down, and everybody who was doing voice work, Liev Schreiber and a number of the other celebrity actor types, they do their stuff remotely, but there are some of us that do it in the building. And I was doing my stuff remotely all last year and all this summer. We're hoping to get back in this year, but Steve's presence is still all over that building. And the thing, Pete, that really rung out to me was when somebody asked me after Steve had passed, is it going to change NFL films? And I said, no, it's not. And the reason is because Steve ingrained in everybody what it was to be the type of storyteller that they needed to be. So it was like this sounds like a weird way to say it, but it's like his spirit and his love of telling a football story still lived in everybody else who worked in whatever capacity in that building because he was so enthusiastic about it. So all of those producers, all of those editors, all of those audio people, if you ask them now, it's like, oh, wait a second, I shouldn't do that. Steve would hate that.
That's right.
And Steve's been gone for a long time, but he's not gone because his legacy still breathes through the work that they do. It blows me away. It always did. And there was not a better coach in terms of pumping you up when he needed to pump you up. And there was not a better teacher of what it was that he believed was the right way to do it and have that appear in everybody else's work.
Oh, no doubt. Scott Graham with us and some thoughts on Steve Sable. I'll tell you this, Scott, we did have John Runyon on. He said he was going to go to NFL Films later in the day. So, I know his size and your size, just draft right in on him, Scott. Nobody, it'll be fine. Nobody, just follow his block.
I'm fortunate. We're doing a sit down. I think it's going to end up being part of a TV special with John and Trey later on this month for when that date rolls around, and we're going to be. It's going to be fun to sit down with them. We used to do the Eagles Unscripted show, and for one summer we took it on the road, and we went down to Washington, D.C., and we did the interview from John's office in Congress, and
Cool.
it was really interesting to watch him in that setting, not in the football setting, and his views on what that job was and everything else. But I mean, great stories. And that's, that's what this whole thing is about. Literally the entire thing. It's what I start when I teach my class. It's the first day is you're a broadcaster. Fine. You're a storyteller.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is to tell a story that people want to listen to, whether it's a game, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a sports report, whether it's a talk show. You're telling a story, and you want to make it so that somebody who's sitting and listening to it or watching it is compelled to keep listening and watching.
Well, Scott Graham, listen, man, I really appreciate you taking time out. Thank you so much. We're honored to have you on. I look forward to the rest of the preseason, hearing your call, and on Westwood One with NFL Films as well. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much. Anytime, guys.
Take care, Scott. Good talking to you, bud.
There he is,
Pete.
Scott Graham on the Barb's Harley-Davidson Sports Hotline. Want to remind people the second hour of the locker room is brought to you by the Great Bay Country Club, where it's not just golf, it's fun. For more information, go to greatbay.com or give them a call at 609-927-5071. Great Bay Country Club in Summers Point, New Jersey. See why it's always a great day at Great Bay. Just about everybody in our area has heard about the Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine run by ex-Philadelphia tight end Ken Dunnick. But were you aware of their private business network they call the Legacy Club? Every month they hold private events at upscale locations in Philadelphia and South Jersey that attract over 200 top business people. If you have an interest in attending one of these events and see it's a fit for your business, send an email to ken@jerseymanmagazine.com or give him a call at 856-912-4007 for more information. All right, when we return, we'll wrap it up. You're listening to The Locker Room with Billy Schweim, Pete Thompson on 97.3 ESPN and the mobile app. All right, PT. I want people to, if they want to see listen to the replay of the show, you can go to my 8 podcast locations, The Locker with Billy Schweim. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the interviews are posted there. The Locker Room with Billy Schweim. Please like or subscribe to my YouTube channel.
This is definitely one you want to replay and listen
Absolutely. And then, of course, my website, The Locker Room with Billy Schweim. Go there for all the replays of anything we do. The lifeguard races, any interview, it's all right there. Push of a button.
You want some rapid fire here? Let's see here. Ian from Northfield says Team Billy will win.
Wow.
Who would dare go against Chief Berube team? Thank you, Ian. You are in the hopper. The PT team will be victorious.
Wow.
Woohoo! Way to go, Keith from Cape May.
Well,
Keith, you are duly noted. Your vote is in. God bless it. Team PT, that's Jay from EHT.
wow.
All right, I'm kicking your butt now. I'm up 2-1. Let's see here. I'll take Team Billy. Sorry, Pete.
609-403-0973. So here's what we're going to do,
That's
Pete.
Nick from Brigantine.
People can make sure you give us your address because whoever wins, whoever picks the right team, I'll get the ESPN Locker Room, 97.3 ESPN Locker Room T-shirts out to them. Got a nice little eagle on the one sleeve, and it's a pretty cool shirt.
Dan wants more evidence. You know, Dan, he's a heavy message boarder.
Yeah.
He says, you got to give me more convincing speech of how you're going to win the golf outing. I love your show. I just can't pick one against the other. I'll tell you how I'm going to win, and it ain't talent and ability. I said it earlier. I let it slip. My lip wedge is the best club in my bag.
You're not going to rattle me, Pete.
No, I don't have to rattle you.
I don't think I should give you a stroke. I don't think I should give you a stroke for
just
both
stop
9.
crying about it. You're giving it up. Yes.
I'll give you 1 stroke for the whole 18.
No, that's not fair. You should give a stroke aside. You've been beating me by 10
Pete,
or 12 strokes on a regular
how many times
basis.
have you played this year?
Like, how many times have I played? 18, or how many times have I played?
How many times have you played?
That's the thing I think you're not factoring into
answer
evidence.
my question.
I like 5 or 8, maybe.
8 times you played this year?
Yeah,
all right, I played 4.
Yeah, but listen, you're an athlete. I talk about
it. Doesn't
athletes,
matter. That's one sport that being an athlete doesn't necessarily.
The only edge that I have, and I pray to God this happens, is that Chief is going to. He's supposed to be your helper, but I think he's going to rattle you so much. Plus, I do believe that Scooter McKay is going to want to live vicariously through me. I mean,
he is. He's going to
just like some of those
bad.
epic Masters caddies that helped like Ben Crenshaw to the win. You know, Scooter is going to like elevate me, pump me up. He's going to get me going. He'll read my putts. You know, not that I need help with that, but you know, I think he's also going to help. So I feel like it's really 3 against 1.
609-403-0973 is the text board. You keep sending them in throughout the week, but we'll really promote it next weekend on Saturday and Sunday here in the locker room. 609-403. Who's going to win the golf tournament between Pete Thompson and Billy Schweim? Pete Thompson, Scott McKay, Billy Schweim, Craig Berube. Who's going to win?
Sounds like a fearsome foursome.
It's head to head.
Yeah,
I got you, Pete.
Okay, we'll see.
Hey, Pete.
Put up or shut up.
Fastest 2 hours in radio.
It was great, wasn't it? It was just great. I mean, what do I always say? Billy, that was the best show ever. I feel like I say it after every show.
It's a great weekend in the locker room. Yesterday we had Charlie Manuel on. Today we had John Runyon and Scott Graham put the topping on the topping it off, the icing on the top of the cake.
Yep. It was outstanding, you know.
And I tell you what, I like Tom McCarthy, but I just like Scott Graham's voice.
Well, he's very conversational and folksy. Not that Tom McCarthy isn't, but yeah, you know. Look, I also think that you get used to things, you know. And Scott Graham's voice. Hey, let's put it this way: you want a topper? Yeah. They never named an ice cream after Tom McCarthy. There you go. And I like them both. Enough said.
All right. Great show today, Pete. Thanks a lot. I want to thank John Runyon for checking in. Of course, Scott Graham for calling in and talking about his profession. It's always interesting to hear, and just that voice, those pipes, great to hear him. Hey, Pete, we'll do it again next week. Thanks
absolutely.
Right. Thanks for making the locker room part of your Sunday, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with the Schweiner. The Phillies are playing the Reds today. We need to take the rubber match. We're in the rubber match game today. Aaron Nola on the hill.
Versus Sonny Gray. He's the other side. I knew you forgot who that was.
Sonny Gray. All right.
Why do I have to be sunny gray? Why can't I be sunny white? Why can't I be sunny black? You better wrap it up.
It's The Locker with Billy Schweim every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon right here on 97.3 ESPN.